And we should be good to go for picks and bans.
Yes, it is the case. We are in the pick and ban phase. Lulu being the first ban, that is it. Otherwise, actually, Cassidy is the second one. So, obviously, getting some bans out. I'm expecting to see a Syndra ban, even though, like I said, not the best KDA. I think she just opens up too many options for SK Prime in the way they played that entire game. It was quite dependent on those stuns. Of course, that does mean SK
Yeah.
Prime may have to think about what they're going to ban out against that potential.
I think Ocelot needs to not pick his mid first this time, because that left it way too open for a counter potential, like we saw in that Syndra. But the Lulu Cassidy ban is fairly standard stuff that we see all the time. Irelia ban again, like you taught me today, that the Europeans really prioritize Irelia as a top laner.
Although in that case, they banned Irelia, and left Jax open just because they knew Gamers 2 was going to ban Jax eventually. We have actually seen occasionally some teams picking Irelia over Jax, but what you will never see is a team taking Irelia when Jax is open, because that is just asking to get curb stomped in your lane and split pushed into oblivion, because Jax will beat Irelia in the one-on-one. There is just no two ways around that.
He'll beat most people in the 1-on-1. He is the grand duelist after all, so Jax.
I think I'd go so far as to say he beats everyone in a one-on-one. At least once he's got items.
Maybe Karma early on could beat him out because of the range. But
yeah,
eventually later on you get pushed out of that lane. The next band to come out though from SK, from what I see, is Katarina.
Yeah. I'm just gonna say I have no idea why they banned that. Like, as far as I'm aware, Ocelot doesn't play that. As far as I'm aware, JWoww doesn't play that. I don't know whether it was a misban or something like that, but
What else could be next to K?
okay, Kha'Zix. Would that even be next to it?
Next to Katarina we have Kale, Kennen, Karthus. Kha'Zix is like 3 blocks away though from Katarina.
We couldn't find Katarina in the list. Oh, there she. Yeah, I see what you mean. Heimerdinger. Clearly, they wanted to ban Heimerdinger. What's Heimerdinger above? I don't understand. Well, okay, well, alphabets and numbers and a lot of logic doesn't work in my brain, so it does look like Gamers 2 actually have deliberately left one of their bans open. So
that's surprising.
Yeah, maybe both teams just said, you know what, gentlemen's agreement, we're going to get the picks we want to get here. SK Prime prioritizing Kha'Zix again. Gamers 2 take Lucian Thresh.
All right, so they really want to go with that lane this time around. No Twitch for Yuki this time, and no Leona for Dude. So I like the bot lane. It's a very good first set of champions for them, and we saw Zayas and Zatan just play that lane so well. But Jungle Kha'Zix for a first pick for SK2, so just a very strong pick for them to start off as well.
Yes, indeed. So that's going to be very, very strong for them. We saw him do pretty well last game. Wings upgrade first, obviously, being his style. He did get the active camouflage eventually, the ultimate upgrade in the end, but I think that may have been his third upgrade. Ilias not locked in anything for his team yet, but What the Fox has taken Yasuo, which is quite an interesting pick there. Blind picking it, potentially. They don't obviously know on Gamers 2 whether that's going to be a mid or a top Yasuo. Most likely to be mid, though, and it's a very, very strong pick. It's a very, very unique pick, but there are champions that he does not do brilliantly well against.
He can have a very, very rough time in this lane, depending on how Ocelot wants to go up against, as a counter against it. Graves is also the ADC picked up for Heydal / Zayas, so looking for that counter in the matchup against Lucian. Lacking on the range department, though, so going to be a little interesting to see how they trade it out and what they pair it with. Like, Leona could be okay, Morgana could fit with that as well, but obviously they're still contemplating their support pick. My question is going to be, what is G2 going to pick to go against this Yasuo mid?
It's always a tricky one, because although Yasuo isn't necessarily the strongest laner in the entire world, if you're against a really, really good Yasuo player, they seem to be able to come through almost any lane and come out well. I mean, we've seen it played against Orianna, we've seen it played against Kayle, these ranged auto-attack harass champions you would normally think Yasuo would have big problems with, and yet somehow he manages to come out on top. I'm thinking specifically of Nuke Duck, who also was blind picking Yasuo yesterday. So Gamers2 may just have to think about running maybe a 2-on-1 against it, actually. That is always an option. There is no champion in the game that can come out well in a 2-on-1, and a Yasuo without farm is an awful lot less threatening.
We don't really see too many 2-on-1s anymore, though, with the recent changes to the turrets, so...
We've seen them a few times.
It's not out of the question, obviously.
Yeah, it's less... You won't see 4 versus noughts very much anymore, although we actually did see one of those yesterday. It was sort of like a 4 versus 2 dive. NIP did it. It was actually it snowballed the entire game against Gamers2. But it looks like they are going to be going for the Kayle here. Gamers2. That could work, obviously. Ranged auto attacks goes through the wind wall, which is the unique aspect here. And Ocelot does play a pretty decent Kayle. So that's what they've gone with. That's what they've locked in. And it does also combo very, very well with a Shyvana as your frontline tank.
I like it. You have the Divine Intervention as well to keep Yuki safe if he gets caught out in an unfavorable position. And you even have a little heal coming in from her as well. And the bot lane from SK is going to be that Morgana Graves, so going to look to stop some of those hooks and maybe some of the magic damage from Kayle later on. Yasuo mid is going to be my main focus. I wanna see how well Wadafox plays that one against Ocelot's Kayle. Like you said, the auto attacks from the ranged Holy Fervor from Kayle go through the walls, so that's going to be very key for the matchup.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how he manages to get through it, because obviously you can block the Q damage from the Kayle, but ranged auto attacks, how many will he allow to land, and how effectively can he utilize his dashes and his shields to minimize that auto attack harass that comes in? It all depends on that, but of course we are now into the delay timer.
Yeah, so with that, we're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, we'll have the game loaded and on the Rift for you guys. But before that, you can check out the sponsors down below, probuilds.net, as well as Logitech Gaming Peripherals. So go check out the sites, and we'll see you soon. Alright guys, welcome back here to Game 2. It's going to be SK Prime with the 1-game lead over here against Gamers2. I'm Ige, going to be joining me here is Spuddington for what is going to be another very interesting game.
Yeah, should be quite interesting. Obviously for me, I am still suffering from the wooden PC, so I'm stuck on the loading screen. Going by past precedent here, could be here for another couple of seconds, so
whoa,
I don't expect
Binding connects. Oh, so does the death sentence as well. They're going into the Zaitan. Actually, he's able to back away. Never mind. They don't blow any flashes. You're good to go.
All right, this is the peril. This is the peril. I should have stopped talking a little bit quicker there, but going for the invade early on is a little bit surprising. But you can always try and catch out someone trying to place the trinket ward.
Yeah, so it's kind of a very small window if you're going to look for an invade now with the 30-second ward drop on the totem. They're going to still look for it from SK. Oh, JWoww, he saw Gilius walking to that brush, so he backed out and just went straight back to his tri-brush.
Yeah, deciding well against that. May actually expect to see Dude. Nope, not going to. Doesn't have any wards, actually. I was wondering if he was going to look for a counter invade, because having seen the entire enemy team, it is obviously safe to try and get vision on the red buff, but when one has started with 4 health potions, then you don't really have the money for wards as well.
Unfortunately. So the 4 biscuit start's actually indicative that he really wants to trade a lot in this lane, and against the Morgana, you can normally look to do that, especially if she also uses her binding early on. And since he started Death Sentence, he doesn't have really the Flay passive auto damage, so it's going to be a little bit harder for him to get some severe damage onto her.
Yeah, that is definitely going to be an issue for him. In this early stage of the game, I expect he's running attack damage marks. Didn't actually check it, but if you do go very aggro with your auto attacks, especially if you've got a Lucian to back you up, it can work out for you, but you're going to have to contend with the fact he's against Graves, who tends to be a little bit more mana efficient than Lucian, so if you're trading all the time, you can start to fall behind just based off of that. As it is, though, right now, this is actually probably not getting the better of that trade, but the push war is going in the favor of SK.
Yeah, Graves' buckshot early on is just such a menace to the waves, especially to denying people from pushing anything. Smitty on Mundo up top against JWoww and the Shyvana. Mundo, I've seen him have a lot of rough times in the current meta, at least. That if he goes up against an Ignite top lane, it's so rough. Oh, they get the level 2, they get the Flay and the Death Sentence, but he plays him back. They're gonna dash forward. He gets the heal. The exhaust comes out onto Yuki as well, and they're gonna back out of that from G2 side. They do get exhaust and heal out of the SK bot lane, so it's pretty good for them now that they know those summoners are down.
Yeah, that means Gamers 2 have a lot of dominance now to work with. You can see Ziz is just not even going near the minions right now. He will try and get that last hit, and Thresh is going to ward it out. But it was a really nice hook there, basically. Timing it exactly as the minion died, and also from an angle where it was quite difficult to read which direction it was coming from. So they've got quite a lot of benefit, and now Ziz does have no black shield for the foreseeable future, so they're probably going to lose out on these next 3 creeps.
And meanwhile, up top, it's just the wet noodle fight up there, just poking back and forth and just shoving each other out to see who can die.
Window lanes.
Oh jeez, those lanes are just so much fun to watch. Directed camera's just like, yeah, you know what? There's a lot of action going on up here, and just someone's dying in the background.
Yeah, the fight. I mean, in fairness, the wet noodle fights are like there's intense amounts of trading going on. It's just that nobody does any damage, so nothing significant occurs as a result of it. Now, Gilius, though, maybe about to find Morden, who actually has the advantage in a one-on-one here.
Wow.
Looks like they both feel Morden does.
That was a nice death sentence on his eyes as well before the black shield came out, but with it following up, he couldn't really look for a dive, and they're just looking for solid pressure. The mid lane, we've been kind of silent about it. Ocelot has managed to sneak away with a minor CS lead, so he's doing a good job in that matchup. Death Sentence comes out again, connects on his Litan. Gonna get the Flay backwards. They do get the Piercing Light as well on his eyes. They get the Binding to disengage from Dude, and that's definitely gonna be Prime having to go back in this lane.
Yeah, big early advantages for Gamers 2 here. They're building themselves up an XP advantage. They're going to shove in the lane here. They'll be able to go back with that little bit extra gold as well, thanks to that 10 CS gap. So, SK Prime got to watch themselves. If you let Yuki get ahead on one of his most comfortable champions, Lucian, it gets bad.
Uh-oh, JWoww is going to look to try to bait out Smitty here. He's going to walk into Morden. He flashes the Q without knowing it. He's going to go forward, but it doesn't matter. Morden's going to get the kill. JWoww now there to look to turn onto Gilius. Can they pick up the kill is the question. Yes, they can. No problem. And it goes down. Red buff gets tossed over to JWoww. And Morden with a nice counter gank.
Yeah, and a red buff at this stage of the game, given the way the Mundo versus Shyvana lane works, that swings the damage trades quite significantly. It becomes much less of a wet noodle fight because the red buff adds so much to Shyvana. So Gamers 2's lane's looking much more dominant than in the previous game. Getting on for a near 2,000 gold difference between the two teams at this point, that's a big deal. And they've also got the XP advantage. The mid lane doing very, very well. Looks like What the Fox is about to get forced out. That all told means that if Gamers 2 can snowball this, they're going to be looking like very, very strong for their mid game.
And it was a little bit of lag for SK side, but they're good. They resume, and we're good to go. Teleport for JWoww up top. He's coming back with a Cutlass. So the wet noodle fight suddenly became a little bit more in favor of JWoww, who'll be able to sustain through most of the poke that Smitty's going to be looking on to him.
Yeah, Blade of the Ruined King, typical thing we see in Shyvana versus Mundo. Haven't actually seen the matchup itself in quite a long time, but just basically because if you build the Blade of the Ruined King, you punish Mundo for his favorite items, which is flat health. Ocelot gonna have to watch himself, but should be able to live.
Yeah, and Morden's there for a counter gank if anything as well. They get the passive out of Yasuo. He drops the wind wobble to turn their attention on the Gilius. Sonic Wave Resonance Strike connects. That was a ton of damage from Ocelot, and Morden picks up the kill. 2-0 so far. JWoww looking for a dive up here. Gets cleavered. Gonna take one more turn shot. No, he does not. He backs out. He heals up, and he wins the fight. What? Alright.
Okay, yep, that was definitely a thing. And meanwhile,
what? The Descendants connects. She's in the turret, forced to flash away. Yuki flashing forward, looking for it, gets exhausted, gets some of the shield from the lantern. They're gonna get pulled back to Dude. Okay, some aggression in every lane. And maybe a dive on a What the Fox.
Not done yet.
Okay, he's gonna position himself for this one right now. Throws up the Sonic Wave, gets Wind Wall, and they back right on out.
Okay, so now they're done. Q Death Sentence in the bot lane, but a lot of aggression because obviously they knew where the junglers were, and that clutch hook in the bot lane from Dude very nearly set them up for a kill, but I think Yuki was just jumping the gun a little bit, didn't take account of the fact his opponent still had his exhaust, or his exhaust had come back up again after that original all-in in the early game. And Gamers 2 now looking quite strong with Zaitan low on health. Graves is not going to be able to go move forward to trade, but the lane is pushing, so they're going to be forced to farm under tower. when this hits it.
Morden's making a point that he wants to counter jungle this blue buff right now, so he's going to look to actually possibly go start it, but he's going to run into Gilius, who's making his way over there, so he's going to hop over the wall, but into a Lee Sin, he just war jumps right on out. He's level 6, though. Gilius is level 4. They're going to force Smitty to rotate as well from the top lane, throws a cleaver to stop JWoww from following up, and that'll quell Morden from going any closer to that one. I'm surprised he didn't hang around for a little bit of a smite battle, because he is 2 levels up. Or actually 1 level now, but, you know, Gilius did secure the blue buff nonetheless for himself.
Yeah, I think he was just a little bit scared of the Kha'Zix damage. Even 2 levels below, as long as you're not with your allied minions or allies per se, then you are going to be quite vulnerable to Kha'Zix, and he was already low from taking the blue buff. This stage of the game, Lee Sin, quite squishy, didn't want to have to blow his flash, so didn't want to go for the potential smite trade.
I like how Dude's playing in spot lane. He always positions himself facing towards one of the opposing champions and then just throws his hook at the opposite angle towards the other. The culling comes out from Yuki here, doing some poke damage onto Zai's into Tan. And they're going to get some good damage onto this turret and most likely just back out and rinse and repeat. But Death Sentence connect before the Black Shield goes through as well. They get a bunch of damage on the Heydal there. And he's going to have to go back again. He is getting so low.
This is more like the Gamers 2 bot lane that I know. They are so good normally, and we didn't see it in the last game. They didn't do badly, but they didn't do amazingly. So that is kind of a return to form for them, and with that, looks like they're moving for the dragon here. They should be able to get that, honestly. I don't see the contest coming in, although Gilius is in the area. Did just get his level 7. Didn't seem to even consider the possibility.
He's also actually a level ahead now of Morden. He's been farming up quite a bit, just staying solid in the jungle. Morden does have the 2 kills. He is an item ahead, though. He finished up that Spirit of the Illos early on, so that signaled that they should go for the early dragon, and they get it. And now have a 3,800 gold lead.
And this is one of the things Gamers 2 does very well. If their top lane or their bottom lane gets an edge early on, they're very skilled at converting that into a mid-game objective. They're very good at converting the top lane, especially because of their quite clever usage of their teleports, but obviously this game they haven't gotten quite such a significant advantage. Quite a big one, you know, not discounting JWoww here, but it's not quite on the same level as the presence, because Mitty could always just regen up and teleport down. Bot lane, they had to back when they did.
But Smitty using his ultimate here, JWoww could look for all in on him if the ultimate does run out in time for him to just look for that jump in, but Morden is up there too. There was a ping. Gilius is coming up, so they might try to look for the 1v1 as he does leap forward, and he's going towards Lee Sin, but he just safeguards away. Sonic Wave. No, doesn't go for the resonating strike, so maybe gonna look to chase him down a little bit further. Or maybe just look for the dive. Oh, they're looking for the dive on top on a Smitty here. And it's gonna be JWoww taking it up. Dragon's Ascent comes through, and Sonic Wave for the snipe from the blind man, as they do find another kill up top.
Yep,
0 and 3 on that window.
They drew What the Fox up there. He's not going to achieve anything with that waste of time, and he's going to lose some CS and some tower damage. In fact, Ocelot may... probably not this way, but he's going to get that tower very, very low here.
Alright, so Gilius is going to be forced to hold up, so that's going to be some relief from the jungle. He's going to be forced to hold that top turret, but the mid turret, in the meanwhile, does go down. Ocelot gets it. What Fox is going to dash through him, while Ocelot just chases him down and gets all the damage he can. Windwall is down, gets the slow, and just keeps beating onto him. Death Sentence connects down bot onto Zatan. There's the Black Shield as well, but doesn't get popped in time for the flay, so that's going to be pretty much the end of that exchange.
Yeah, and this is one of the problems of such an early pick on Yasuo. The composition for SK Prime doesn't really have knockups built into it here. He's just going to rely on landing his Q tornado if he wants to get anything done, and that means obviously Ocelot can push up much more aggressively, much more safely, since he knows he's not going to get like a death sentence from, you know, out of Fog of War to knock him up and set him up for the follow-up. But right now, obviously, the death sentence is on Dude, and he's continuing to just pressure this bot lane immensely.
Very true. His hooks, man, they've been on point. Black Shield or not, they're connecting, and they're doing a lot of good damage, and putting Yuki in a better spot to just keep on winning the lane. He's 109 CS to 74, so doing a great job on that. And they may look for another dive on a Smitty here. JWoww gets the turret, they finish it up, they force the flash out, Tempest Cripple connects. JWoww is going to keep on going through, use the Blade of the King earlier on. Sonic Wave does not connect, and that'll be the sign to disengage.
Still worth it. They got the tower down. Mundo's a long way behind. He's going to take a long time to get super tanky and be a problem for them in split pushing or in team fights. That means now Shyvana is free to roam, make plays.
Oh! They're going in with the Zaitan now. Black Shield gets popped out. They use the exhaust. Culling comes through, doing a little bit of damage to the Zai, kind of just poking him out just a bit. Zaitan's going to be the next target, though, forcing the flash and the heal out of that one. Flay comes through onto Zai's. They're going to look for Death Sentence. Does not connect onto Zaitan. And a good turnaround from Zai's, but he's out of mana. Gilius is there, though. He fails the jump. Forced the flash through the wall, though. Going to chase after and get the kill. He does not have Evolved Wings, went for Claws this time. Walk into Ocelot, gets slowed up, and do a bunch of damage from the Holy Fervor. Binding comes through to help him. Ignite comes out, but the last few swings are enough to take him out. And Dragon's Descent up top. They're not done yet from G2. They're just going to keep on going out to everybody. No ultimate for Smitty, though. It'll just force him all the way back and clear out the rest of that wave.
Absolutely crushing their lanes. That's what Gamers 2 are doing right now, and they are now able to roam around and make a lot of plays as a result of that. So, building themselves up much more gold than SK Prime ever built themselves as an advantage in the first game of this series. This is starting to look really, really ugly for them. SK Prime basically need to start finding kills on these high-value targets. They need to kill more, and they need to get the shutdown gold. And they need to start trying to get themselves some vision. Because if Gamers 2 is allowed to run rampant in the jungle, I've said it before, I'll say it again, they are very good at capitalizing.
Oh, Water Fox is going to get initiated on here. Tempest Cripple comes through. Blade of the Rune King as well. He drops the wind wall, goes through the ward, through onto the Wraiths, and flashes through the wall. That's a juke we've seen Bishu make in NA for quite a long while. So, really nice play by Water Fox. They get a Sonic Wave in. Gilius is going to get initiated by Morden. Binding, going to end up connecting. Gilius is going to look to go in. Black Shield comes through, stops the kick. Morden is going to ward dash, though, get the Lantern, and take the Thresh Express out.
Yeah, bit of Lee syndrome there, but he gets away with it. They weren't keen to chase him down. That's, of course, the problem when you're a long way behind. You have a lot less potential to get yourself back in by killing your opponent. Now, Smitty pushing out the top lane. That tower is not going down, though, and that is another sign of the problems. They have very little sieging potential. There's very little capability to catch people out, even. They've got Dark Binding and Kha'Zix, that's pretty much it. Though, SK Prime are just going to be forced to sit back for a long, long time and just try not to lose too many objectives in the game.
Man, this game is a complete circle around the last game for G2. They just figured out all the problems. They're now just playing the lanes right. They're winning their lanes. They have all 3 tier 1s gone. Just need to start pressuring tier 2s. They have Dragon control. It's just this is the G2 that we like to see.
Yeah, this is what I was expecting from the beginning of this series. This is Gamers 2. They are a very strong challenger team. We've seen them dominate teams like SK Prime in the past. We've seen them beat... In fact, it's interesting because we've seen them lose to a lot of teams in the past and come back stronger the next time they played. They tend to be a team that does better the longer a series goes, or in a double elimination tournament, the more times they get to play against their opponent, which, if they make it through to NIP, may well be a relevant fact. Will obviously be coming up later today if this game is 2 that goes up against them, and if it's not, well, SK Prime may have to pull out some unusual composition choices.
Gilius kind of extending pretty far here. Death Sentence, he does get the leap and does get out of there, so able to escape his life for a second there. And also the team that's gonna be going into face against Nip, it's a weighted best of 5, so Nip already has a 1-game advantage over their opponents. Water Fox looking to chase down here on Ocelot, does get the Sonic Wave Resonating Strike onto him and gets kicked away. So they're gonna look to try to disengage from this fight as fast as possible. Morden gets jumped on, he's gonna take a bunch of damage. The Binding almost connecting mid-lantern, and Morden barely able to escape out of that one. And now JWoww gets poked out by Smitty just a little bit, and Ocelot continues his nice little split push on bot against Hadal. But meanwhile, G2's bot lane has just been pushing down this mid. Zaitan looks for a binding but cannot find it. Ocelot is perfectly fine with 2v1ing here, forcing out an exhaust as well from Zaitan.
He's strong. He's just so strong right now. He doesn't even care. He's got a blue buff as well, which means he can keep spamming his heals, keep himself sustained. They can't poke him out of the lane, so they're gonna be forced to commit players to trying to gank him. Thus far, that is just not working out. I've actually got to criticize the last time that that happened. There was quite a heavy commitment from SK Prime and a successful disengage by Gamers 2 in the bottom lane. Yuki probably could have taken the mid in that time, but instead he chose to roam to join up with his team. And in fairness, I can understand why you would do that. Oh,
he's gonna die if he gets the slow. Oh, okay, so he stops.
Yeah, he lives. Ziz lives to see another day, but The situation is rapidly getting out of control, and now it looks like Mundo may be the next target. They don't need to kill him, they just need to force him off the tower.
Alright, so Morden's gonna get some steel on the wolves, as well as get a lantern in. Smitty gonna pop his ultimate, gonna flash away from the flay, so good flash to escape. Now they're gonna maybe look for a turn here. Smitty, if he gets the cleavers, this could be turned into a very easy binding. Binding comes through, but Dragon's descent to escape that one. So everybody just getting away. Morden gets hit by a cleaver though. Gonna look for a war jump possibly over the wall. There it is. Gilius jumps after though, so gotta be a little careful there. Stealthing in by himself. 1v3, Sonic Wave comes through. Takes a bunch of damage, but Zeiss is gonna get dove on the bot lane. The Ignite comes out. Is it enough? It is! Even with collateral damage, Ocelot is able to stay alive behind the turret. Smitty's coming though with the home guard.
Emergency farming.
No, Divine Intervention is going to stop most of the damage, but Smitty with the cleaver will take him out.
Yes.
Oh, you in the mid lane though. A lot of Fox trying to get away. The culling does a bunch of damage, but Gilius flashes forward and leaves, but not able to connect on a Yuki. Wada Fox is still dangerously low with no wind wall. Are you going to look for the hook? No, he's not. And they'll back off.
It was a slight error by Ocelot going quite that deep there, but he took the inner tower, he got the kill. He's going to be okay with that trade. And now Gamers 2 continuing to just capitalize on their advantage that they've already got. They are so far ahead at this stage, team fights are almost not an option for SK Prime. And that means, obviously, you can bully them out of their jungle, you can get their vision control, and now, what do you do if you're SK Prime? Ziz may be about to experience overextension. That Morden isn't actually interested though.
Yeah, he was more interested in taking the blue and denying that away from Gilius and keeping his level advantage that he has. So, Morden is still 3-0 right now on that Lee Sin, as well as JWoww is still 2-0. So a very, very low kill game for as high aggression as this has been for the entire length of this match.
Morden's been like a mobile disengage unit, covering essentially for Ocelot. When he is pushed out a long way on Kale, no escapes, he can use the Dragon's Rage, keep her alive, and hence continue the pressure. That's what he has been doing. He also did it once for the other members of his team in the top lane. As it is now, they're going to take this red buff. I don't like SK Prime fighting it, but it may be as good a fight as they can get.
Alright, so we do have a binding connection to Morden. He gets knocked up and gets the last breath from the Yasuo. He's able to war jump away in the Dragon Pit. Meanwhile, another Dragon's coming in from JWoww on a Smitty, but he's going to get turned on possibly. He's sustaining through most of it with that Sadism ultimate. He's going to pop the teleport. They're not going to be able to stop this one. He's able to get away. Oh, the collateral damage doesn't come out in time either. And he teleports the bot lane, actually the top lane, excuse me, to help out Ocelot if anything, but he's taking 4 turret shots there. Has to be very careful.
Yep, but he gets the tower, so definitely a good fight there from Gamers 2. They aren't necessarily the single best team fighting team I've ever seen, but I love the way they play the map like this. JWoww laughing as he recalls an Ocelot. I don't think they can chase him, mobility boots or no.
Whoa,
they're gonna try.
Not the black shield. He's going to keep on going. Meanwhile, the tier 2 in the mid lane is going to look to go down here. Yuki does grab that one up, takes the lantern against the safety. Ocelot's still getting chased out here. Drops a pink ward and turns on to Gilius. Gets exhausted in the meantime. Divine Intervention gets popped, so Gilius can't be sneaky. Is he going to actually win this 2v2 is the question. Gilius doesn't have mana. There's a Mount Morden coming in from the side, helping Ocelot survive. Meanwhile, there's a dive on a dude in the mid lane coming in from Wada Fox. Does connect that knockup and gets the last breath. But they're going to get the tier 1 turn in the mid lane in exchange. And Ocelot and Morden are still chasing up top.
Yeah, Gamers 2 are going to have to start grouping up a little bit more now since they're going up against inhib towers if they want to take any more, but still, really nice play there by Ocelot. Just delaying for a long time.
JWoww's not looking to go in onto Zeiss. He has no problem doing this. Morden's coming in again. Mobile defense unit as well as an engaged unit coming through, getting the kick, getting Yuki a kill. Now Wada Fox is in the terrible spot, gonna get taken out here. Windwell blocks the Sonic Wave, but JWoww comes in with the claws and sinks his Dragon Fangs into him and takes him out. 11-2. Surrender vote comes out, and that's gonna be Gamers 2 picking up the second game.
Just such a reversal from the last game. As it was before, SK Prime had to struggle and bite and claw their way to a victory. They slowly crushed the life out of Gamers 2. Gamers 2 come back, win the laning phase, and never look back. They just destroyed their opponent. And Gamers 2 also, I think the one thing they do really, really well is always know where their teammates are and how long it's going to take them to join up. That's why we saw these turnarounds. That's why we saw Ocelot in that top lane there, delaying the inevitable, looking like it was an inevitable, and then turning it away. So really, really nice play from them. And SK Prime have got to be reeling when they go into the third game.
That was ridiculous. So we're going into game 3 here. We're gonna go to a quick break. When we come back, we'll have that set up for you guys and see who goes into the grand finals to play up against Nip. So we're gonna go to a quick break, and we'll see you soon.
Get away.